this is what you understood with the previous slide. It's called, Shewhart theory of variability. That means variation you just cannot avoid, always exists. Common cause variation always exists, but special cause variation you can eliminate. And now imagine you are in a bank. You want to open a bank account and you are filling up the form, and the form requires your signature to be, put 3 times. And let me play this video how you sign. So you are putting your signature in the application form, and now this is the output your process has produced. And do you see all the 3 signatures same or different? Is there a variation?
Variation.
And tell me, is this variation a common cause variation or a special cause variation?
Common
cause variation.
So if it is a common cause variation, don't take action. Don't react too much. It is quite common. Even if you are signing, you will also see this kind of difference. So because common cause variation, you cannot eliminate, isn't it? So no need to take any action. And let us go to this is a common cause. Let us go to the second video and let's see how the signature happens. Right. And now the second process is over. I'm showing you the output. And now this is the kind of output your process has produced. And now there is a variation. And tell me, what is this variation? Common cause or special cause?
Special cause.
Definitely special cause. Now, if you are a manager, you won't accept the application form, isn't it? You will ask him to refill the application form, re-sign the document. And if it is a check, you will return all the checks. What is the special cause here in the second video?
The hindrance created by the child, sir.
Oh, a child is disturbing the person from putting the signature. So please understand, whenever your process experiences a special cause, whenever you understand, a special cause variation exists in your process, please note your process is seriously disturbed by an external factor. Seriously disturbed by a factor. Unless and until you prevent the boy from jumping and disturbing the person, you cannot improve his signature. Am I right? Unless and until you stop the boy from disturbing the signing process, you cannot improve the signature. Whether you import a pen from a foreign, or you give him a very good table, or you give him juice and everything, nothing will work. His signature is going to be like this only. Same thing will happen if you try to improve the process. The participants, please use your mic wisely. Often we are getting disturbance. So this is the same thing is what can happen if you try to improve your process without knowing that a special cause is playing in your process. Is that clear? So the moment you understand special cause is playing, your job is not to improve the process, but to gain the statistical control. What is gaining the statistical control? Fix the special cause, so the same point will start falling inside the control limit. Clear? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Right. So there are 2 types of variation we have understood. One is common cause, another one is special cause. What is this common cause? A process is operating, if a process that is operating with only chance cause of variation. Chance means again common cause, right? Is said to be in statistical control, is said to be stable. Only stable process can be improved, right? And on the other hand, if a process that is operating in the presence of assignable cause is said to be an out of control process, it is considered an unstable process. An unstable process cannot be improved. If you can't listen to us, we cannot make you a green belt. But if you can listen to us, there is a chance. The same thing is the logic. If a process is under statistical control, it can be improved, right? And this is how the control chart is helping you. And now let us take a case. There are a lot of data, like how Dr. RK has taught you, right? how to collect the data, how much data, who should collect, where from collect, and how many data should be collected, and all that question got answered. And now you have collected a data. See here, this number talks about dimension of a product component. In this particular problem, it is called a camshaft. It can be any component, it can be any dimension. And the number can also be a cycle time, can also be your lead time, or can also be any time, can be anything. I just need a number. It can be hardness, it can be surface finish, or it can be any number. And see this number, looking at the number, can you tell me if it is a dimension? Tell me what type of data it is. Is it a qualitative data or a quantitative data?
Quantitative.
Quantitative. And within quantitative, there are two types. One is continuous, another one is discrete. What type it is? Is it continuous or discrete?
Continuous.
Why do you say it is continuous?
Because it is series of numbers, sir, in a particular way.
Come again, slowly.
Sir, the series have a particular pattern, sir.
What pattern?
Sir, 600, 600.2, 600, 1.2, like that.
Okay,
Particular.
that means you want to say, sir,
It is measurable.
You will have decimals. Yes,
Yes, sir.
I could appreciate Sandeep's statement. It is measurable.
Measurable.
You can measure it, and so it is continuous data. And in your continuous data, there are two types. What are the type? Ratio scale,
Ratio and interval.
interval scale. What is this belong to? Ratio or interval? Dimension. Dimension belongs to ratio or interval. One component is 100 mm, another component is 50 mm. Can I say the second component is double the size of first component?
Yes.
Multiplication is possible.
Yes.
So this is ratio. So multiplication and division, if it is possible, it is ratio. Suppose your mark is 40, your friend mark is 80. Can I say your friend has double the knowledge of you?
No.
So that is not ratio scale, that is interval scale.
Interval.
So the true zero doesn't exist. Even if you score 0 mark, still you could have acquired some knowledge from the training. Am I right? True
Yes.
zero doesn't exist. But in dimension, true zero exists. In weight, true zero exists. Whenever you understand true zero exists, that is ratio scale. True zero doesn't exist, that is interval scale. So this data is a continuous data under ratio scale data. And now the sampling plan or data collection plan is, you are collecting the data for continuously 5 days. Every day, from every shift, you are collecting data. Why do you collect data from all the 4 shifts? Because you don't know which particular shift is producing the defect. You don't have clue. So you wanted to include sample from all the 4 shifts, right? And so from sample 1, you collected 5 data. Sorry, from shift 1, you collected 5 data. From shift 2, another 5. Same way, 3 and 4. 4 shift, 5 data each. So in a day, how many data you are collecting? Total number of data?
5.
Not 5.
20.
20
data you collected.
Data you collected. 20 data in 4 subgroups. First subgroup from the first shift, second subgroup from the second shift, third and fourth subgroup from the third and fourth shift. Now, how many subgroups are here?
4.
4 subgroups. How many subgroups are here? 4 subgroups. And under each subgroup, how many sample you have?
5.
That is called subgroup size. That is called what?
Group size.
Sometimes we also call it sample size. So sample size, basically we mean subgroup size only. So now, same way you are repeating for 5 days. Now totally how many subgroups you will have?
5 days, 20
subgroup. And under each subgroup, you will have 5 samples. What we call it subgroup. This is your data collection plan. Operational definition is very important. When you are measuring diameter, how to measure the diameter, you have to tell them. Somebody may not even know what is diameter, isn't it? When you ask them to measure diameter, they will measure length and give you the data. Then your reading will become unworthy. So don't do that. Now don't take advantage of assuming that everybody knows everything, right? Always people have to be taught. So make a short, clear and precise statement about what do you want to measure. Make everyone clearly understand. If they understand in English, give it in English. If they understand in Hindi, give it in Hindi. Because what we want the correct data, right? And now proceeding. And now this particular problem, it's a continuous data. Subgroup size is 5. You have to use a control chart called X bar R chart. Why it is X bar R chart? Selection process, you will automatically understand as I finish the session. So now sampling plan is done. Now you collected the sample. Now you need to compute X bar. What is X bar? Average for each subgroup. There are 20 subgroup you have. So 20 average you will get. Average is nothing but add all the data, divide by the number of data. In each subgroup you have 5 data, add all the 5 value, divide by the 5. So you will get averages for each subgroup. Totally how many averages you will get now when you finish this process?
5.
You are wrong. You are not listening. See, there are 20 subgroup. I want you to calculate the average for each subgroup. So how many averages you will produce?
20.
20.
One average from each subgroup. So 20 average you will get. Same way, can you calculate range for each of the subgroup?
Yes.
Sure.
Within
Calculate.
subgroup, there are 5 values. Find out the maximum, find out the minimum, find out the difference. What you call it, the range. If there are 20 subgroup, and if you do it for each group, there will be 20 ranges. Am I right?
Yes.
Right.
20 averages and 20 ranges. And now you proceed and calculate average of the 20 averages. Average of the 20 averages, right? That is called grand average. Formula wise, it is called X double bar. This is going to be the center line in your X bar chart, right? So we'll see the calculation also. Now, what is R bar? Average of the ranges. 20 range you have, find out the average of the 20 ranges. That is called R bar. This will be the center line in your range chart. Now, calculation of control limit. Calculation of control limit. See, control limit will always stay at a distance of 3 sigma units from the center. Am I right? This is our understanding. Control limit will be at a distance of 3 sigma units from the center. But we have only fewer data. Calculating the standard deviation with the less number of data may not be accurate. So statistician has given us some thumb rule, I would say. According to the thumb rule, for your R chart, the lower control limit is D3 into R bar. What is D3? A statistical constant based on your subgroup size. What is your subgroup size in our problem?
20.
No.
5. 5 subgroup size.
5. When I ask you what is the number of subgroups, you have to say 20. I asked you what is the subgroup size. You have to say only 5. So for a subgroup size of 5, you see your D3 is 0, D4 is 2.114. This is from a table. I will share the table with you. It is there already in our training manual, right? So upper control limit formula is D3 into R bar. Lower control limit formula is D4 into R bar. Both are calculated. Now calculate the control limit for X bar chart. X double bar plus A2 into R bar will give you upper control limit. Minus A2 into R bar will give you lower control limit. Now what is A2? For a subgroup size of 5, A2 is 0.577. With all these statistical constants, you can estimate the position of your control limit close to reality, right? Even if you calculate standard deviation on your own, you may not get this estimate. This is estimated value only, but that is what the best that can be arrived with the situation we have right now. And that's why we are following this method. And now you plot the control chart and interpret the result. This is the procedure. Is that clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So 8
Yes,
steps.
sir.
If you follow the 8 steps, your control chart is ready. And of course, the 8th step is repeated here. And now all the data I'm showing again. 5 day, that means 20 subgroup. And for first subgroup, you can see 5 data appearing in the first row. Can somebody explain me how this average is calculated? 600.36?
Average.
Yes.
Average of
X1
5.
plus X2 plus X3 plus X4 plus X5 divided by number
So
of.
all of you know how to get the 600.36. Same way, I want you to find out the average for all the 20 subgroup. I will give this problem as an assignment to all of you today. Is it okay?
Yes.
You can calculate the average and fill up all this here. And next thing, range. Can you explain how the range is calculated?
Maximum
Largest minus lowest, that is maximum
Okay.
minus minimum.
What is the largest here? Within the first subgroup, what is the largest value?
601.6.
601.6.
What is the lowest value?
598.
Now the difference is 3.6. Can you do the same thing for all 20 subgroups?
Yes.
And now come here, X double bar. What is X double bar? You can see
Average of-
20
Average of
here.
average.
Average of X bar.
Beautiful. Average of the average, you calculate, you will get X double bar. How will you get R bar?
Similarly,
Average
average
of
of the
Average of range.
average of range.
Beautiful.
Average of all.
Average of ranges, not average of average now. Average of
Okay.
ranges. Very good. And now we are ready to plot the control chart now. And now you take a graph sheet. Hope the instruction was given to all of you to have a control graph sheet, right? If you have the
Yes.
graph sheet, you can put some scaling. And first you must plot R chart. See here, I want you to plot the R chart, not the X bar chart. There is a reason. You should not jump to the X bar chart. You must first plot the R chart. Now for the R chart, what is the center value? R bar 2.72. It is written here. And lower control limit is 0. Why lower control limit is 0? D3 is 0.
D30.
And upper control limit D4 is 2.114. 2.114 into R bar will get you this 5.751. This is understood, right? And
Yes,
now
sir.
center line is plotted. Since center line is 2.72, slightly below 3, I have drawn my center line. And upper control limit is at 5.75. Lower control limit is at 0. So center line is seen, upper control limit is seen, lower control limit is seen. Can you all do this
Yes.
manually? Possible in a graph sheet?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And now this is R chart. You have to plot your range values. How many ranges you have? 20 ranges.
20.
First range is, you said it is 3.6. You told, right? 3.6 correctly. And look
Yes.
here, I plotted the first range. No, slightly below 3.75 because it is 3.6. Plot the second range, plot the third, plot the fourth, so on. All the 20 ranges. And now tell me, is that the range is under control?
Yes.
Yes.
If the range is under control, what does it mean?
Process is under control.
No, process, for you to comment on the process, for you to comment on population, or for you to comment on sample, 2 parameters are always important. One is central tendency, another one is variation. Now range is a measure of variation. You can't say process is under control. You can say variation is under control. You can say variation is under control or the process spread is under control. To be very clearly in an understandable way, I'll tell you. Now the within batch variation is under control. Within batch variation is under control. What is how did you calculate the range number 1?
Range is calculated under.
What is the
largest
data used? R1
One
came
single
came
shift-
from your
single-
sub number 1.
single shift on the all days.
Single shift. R1 came from subgroup 1. Subgroup
Yes.
1 is actually from shift number 1.
Number one.
R2 is from shift number 2. This is shift number 3, shift number 4, the second day. That means every shift you are taking one subgroup of sample. Why do you do it that way? Can somebody tell me? Why should you necessarily take, sample from every shift? What
Just
are you
to
trying?
check.
Find out the
Just trying to find
variance.
out, is there any specific shift, the specific day process is outside?
Very good. That means you want to produce the same way in every shift, am I right? You want to
Yeah.
produce the same output in every shift.
Yes.
And this range will reflect the variation within shift number 1. Suppose within shift number 1, give me an estimate how many output a company may produce within a particular shift. Approximately, assuming a component. Tell me.
Within a shift, maybe around 1,000.
Okay, very good. Within a shift, 1,000. Now, with this range, what are you trying to understand? You are trying to understand whether all 1,000 camshaft what you produced are same or not. Am I right?
Yes.
If all are same, then only you can pack it, print the specification on the top and send it, because specification you can't give it for each and everything, isn't it? For all the 1,000, you will say that the specification is same. What is that you are actually measuring here? You are measuring the within shift variation, or otherwise I will call it within batch variation. All of you understand what is the meaning of within batch variation?
Yes.
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 Very good. Thank you. And now you connect the points. Connect the points in the same sequence. You can use a scale. We have told you to, we advised you to buy a scale. Use the scale and use a blue color sketch and connect the points as a straight line. Right? And now your control chart is ready. Why we are drawing the control limit as a red color line? Because if you get a point outside the control limit, your process becomes statistically out of control. Does it mean the product will be rejected by your customer?
No.
If you want to understand whether your product will be rejected by your customer or not, you have to mark the specification limit also. But we are not working with the specification limit. We are matured enough to work with the control limit. All of you understand what I'm talking?
Yes.
Yes.
Matured enough to work with the control limit, because when a customer doesn't know anything, how do I produce and other things, he simply gives me the spec. It doesn't mean that I can go closer to the spec. But generally and normally processes can easily get points closer to the control limit. But going beyond the control limit, can somebody tell me what is the chance for a point to go beyond the control limit, or what is the probability for a point to appear above the control limit?
The overproduction.
No, I am asking you the probability. It's a mathematical question. What is the probability for a plotted point to go beyond the control limit?
Probability is very less.
Variation.
How much? You should answer this question.
Is it 3 sigma or 6 sigma?
No, you tell me. You tell
If
me.
it's 3 sigma, it's 0.23.
Wait. Why there is a lot of noise? Your control limit is at a distance of how much sigma from the center?
3 sigma.
3 sigma. That is why it is called control limit.
Then it's 0.23%, sir.
Beautiful. The point to appear beyond the control limit, the chance is only 0.27. If that happens, can't you understand? It is a special cause, isn't it? And if you get a point going beyond the control limit, it's a special cause, right? Good. And now moving on to the next chart. You can move on to the X bar chart only if the R chart is okay. If R chart is not okay, correct your process there itself. No need to come to the X bar chart, right? And now average chart. And now in average chart, the X double bar is the center line, which is 600.072. Upper control limit is this much, because you know X double bar plus A2 into R bar. What is the value of A2? 0.577 for a subgroup size of 5. Same way you find out the lower control limit. So plot your center line, plot your upper control limit, plot your lower control limit. Center line is ready, UCL is ready, LCL is ready. Now what is that you need to plot here? X bar values. 20 averages you have. The first average here, second one here, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and so on. I plot all the 20 subgroups. And now, is this process under statistical control?
No.
No.
Out of control, right? Because the 8th subgroup is below the lower control limit. Now tell me, what will you do? Will you take any action or you will ignore it?
Action required.
Action is required. Okay, come to the reality. In your company, are you taking action whenever you see like this? What action you take? You reconstruct the chart, right? Am I right? If you get a point beyond the control limit, probably you will remove the point and no, you will continue with the same process. Now tell me honestly, can we continue with the same process when we see a point like this?
No.
Right? You should not. If your company is not doing it, please insist for it. As a green belt, you know a point falling beyond control limit is a strong signal. Is a strong signal something no wrong is going to happen. So it creates a compulsion to stop your process. You must necessarily stop your process and investigate the reason for the special cause. See, we already understood that the reason for the variation is explainable. That means definitely there will be a factor. You can figure out the factor. You can fix the factor. If you can figure out and you can fix the factor, my only question is why can't you do it? Please do it. If you are not doing it, then the culture is not favorable for improvement in your company. All of you are with me on this?
Yes.
Very good. But generally, a typical Indian mindset is when we get only 1 point going out of the control limit, out of the 20, no, we will say, no, let us chalo. What is there? Only 1 point is going out. So we will run the process without worrying too much about it. Even your boss may also favor your idea. Okay. No, the only 1 point came out. Please ignore it. Can't run the process. If you run the process, you know what will happen? Within a shortest time, maybe another few batches, you will start seeing more points. Maybe 1 might become 10. Again, if you don't take action, if you ignore, now 10 might become 100. And again, if you don't take action, your management may take action against you, isn't it? So it's very important we take action at the right time, at the earliest possible time. The earliest possible time, my suggestion is even a single point beyond the control limit requires your action. Hope it is understood. And now, what is that we are monitoring in this particular chart, X bar chart? You told me, sir, our chart is within batch variation. Now, what is that you are monitoring? You are monitoring the average of first shift and monitoring the average of second shift, average of third shift, and so on. What is this variation you are seeing here? First batch and second batch, do you see closer? But first batch and fourth batch, distance is huge. Seventh batch and eighth batch, very huge. That is why it becomes special cause. So what is that you are monitoring? Batch to batch variation. Am I right?
Yes.
This is called between batch variation. Both are killers for any business. If the within batch variation is too high, that will spoil your quality. If the between batch variation is too high, that will also spoil your quality, right? For example, imagine you manufacture potato chips. All of us eat, right? Lay's chips. And you produce chips, pack it in a carton and send it to a particular city. For example, today's production is considered a 1 batch. And today's production is sent to Chennai. All Chennai people will now enjoy your potato chips. What is the expectation of the customer as well as the manufacturer now? Is that the potato chips should taste in the same way for all your customers in Chennai, or can it have variation?
Same way, sir.
For all.
Yeah,
Same.
whether I am buying the potato chips from Anna Nagar or Besant Nagar or Tambaram or wherever, your batch is distributed throughout the city, and anyone in any part of the city should have the same experience with your product. That is your requirement, manufacturer's intention. This is called within batch variation. If the range is too high, you know what will happen? People in Tambaram will get a tastier chips, but people in Anna Nagar may get your chips very salty, and people in Besant Nagar may get no taste. Now the variation is playing within a particular city. Why it is happening? The within batch variation is too high. All of you are with me on this?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If you produce, put it in a batch and send it to the customer, anyone using your batch of product should get the same experience. That is your intention. That is why you want to monitor within batch variation. Hope it is clear. And now second day's production. Second day's production is another batch of potato chips. Now you are sending it to Kolkata. Now in Kolkata also, do you require the same thing?
Yes, sir.
Within Kolkata also, people should have the same experience. So R bar chart is required there also. But now another problem, another doubt comes to my mind. Is that Chennai people and Kolkata people experience, that should also be same or different?
Same, sir.
Same.
That should also be
Same.
same. That is why you are monitoring X bar chart. X bar chart is what? Between batch variation. You are able to maintain same quality within a batch. But what is the quality you are maintaining between the batches? Is it that is also same? If that is also same, Chennai people also will have the same quality or same taste. Kolkata will also have the same. Delhi will also have the same. Mumbai will have the same. Everybody, no, wherever your chips goes, everybody will have the same. All of you now understand why we are plotting two charts.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Both are important for you, right? And now, both the chart are presented in the same plane, same paper. Because I want to know both. Now I understand my within batch variation is under control, but I understand my between batch variation is not under control. Some of the shift starts producing, output beyond the control limit. That means my central tendency is moving out. My central tendency is moving towards the LCL. Central tendency should be under your control. Variation should be under your control. Now you can say your process is under your control. But here, process is out of control. If one of the chart produces out of control point, you must conclude your process is out of control. And so action is required. Stop the process. Fix the root cause. This is what in lean people call it stop to fix. If this mentality is not there, if this culture is not there in the company cannot grow fast. They will continue living with the problem, and that will slow down the growth of the company. Nothing wrong in stopping for a while till you fix a problem. Stop the production. People will understand the urgency. People will understand the importance, necessity to remove the special causes. If that urgency is not created, if that necessity is not felt by your experts or professionals in your company cannot grow faster. That's called what? Stop to fix. Probably lean experts will talk more about it. So why the R chart must be in control? Yeah, because control limit in your X bar chart are calculated using the range value. That is why R chart should be in control. After that only you should plot the X bar chart. Otherwise, with the wrong R value, you are calculating the X bar chart, and automatically your X bar chart will also give false alarm. Don't construct the X bar chart when your R chart is out of control. If R chart is under control and X bar chart is out of control, you can clearly make a conclusion. Problem is with the central tendency, not with the variation. Within batch variation is good. Only thing is central tendency. You go and check. 8th particular P point came below the lower control limit. Can somebody tell me what is the subgroup number for the particular special cause? Subgroup number is?
8, sir.
Subgroup number is 8. That is why we call it 8th sample. And when is that subgroup number 8 is produced? Day 1 or day 2?
Day 2.
Day 2. Which particular shift? Shift number 1 or shift number 4?
Fourth shift. Fourth
Okay.
shift.
You go to the site. Now you know which particular date, which particular sample came beyond the control limit. And now go to the check sheet. If you designed the check sheet properly, date will be there, subgroup number will be there, machine number will be there, operator number will be there, location will be there. Immediately go to the spot. This is called Gemba walk. Like how the police department is investigating. Any complaint received, what are they doing immediately? They'll take the jeep and then they fly to the spot. Am I right? you should also do the same thing. Once you receive notice a special cause, no, get out of your table, go to the spot, do a Gemba walk, try to understand more about the problem. Is it important or not?
Yes.
Very,
Yes,
very,
important,
very
very much
important. If
important.
you don't capture the, like FIR, first information report, if that is not there, investigation will become very challenging. You can't really understand. And also, now do you also understand the importance of check sheet? Check sheet should speak everything about the problem which you received. Which operator, whether the operator is new or a skilled fellow, which particular machine setting, and the raw material, who supplied the raw material. Whichever I think it can be a potential failure mode for me, I will capture. And there is no limit for it. Unless and until you thoroughly understand your process, thoroughly understand your environment, you can't escape from capturing, lot of data. For example, in your house, all of you put CCTV camera, right? Am I right? Do you?
Yes,
Yes. And tell me how many camera you put? How many camera? How do you decide the number of cameras? Somebody puts 2 cameras, somebody put 4 camera, somebody put 8 camera. If you go to your office might put 100 camera. Why is it varying from 2 to 100? Why they put more cameras?
To cover the area.
To cover the area.
Environment
depends
based.
on the area.
To cover the area and to avoid blind
Failure mode is more. So they wanted to understand which particular factor is failing, isn't it? Wherever you have a suspect that a failure can happen and you are monitoring, same way, if you really have a process knowledge, if you are the process owner, you must have that knowledge and decide your check sheet adequately. Your investigation can happen easily. If you don't collect the information about the failure mode, then what will happen? Then you have to collect the information again. Like you have to further add one more column in your check sheet. Now your check sheet will keep expanding. So all this information you will hand over to the process owner in the end of the DMAC project, that is in the control phase, and that document will be called what? Control plan. That document will be called what? Control plan. All the knowledge you gained by doing the project, all the lessons you have learned will be documented, and that will become a new document called control plan. We'll see that in the control phase. So what is that we learned? A control chart can help us to monitor the stability, help us to determine the readiness for improvement, can also help us to demonstrate the improved performance. X bar or chart monitors the mean and variation of a process. It works well when your subgroup size is 8 or less. In our case, subgroup size is 5. And that's why we use the X bar or chart. Please note, your data should be continuous. Please note your subgroup size is 8 or less. If it is more than 8, you can prefer to use X bar S chart, where S means standard deviation. Instead of range, you can start using sample standard deviation. A point falling outside the control limit is a strong signal which indicates the presence of a special cause in your process. The solution is stop to fix, or your approach should be stop to fix. If a special cause is detected, that's what I'm saying here. The process must be stopped for detailed investigation. If you are not doing it, you will never understand the improvement, opportunity for the improvement. You will never be able to identify a project in your company if your attitude is continuing with the problem. If the subgroup size is more than 8, X bar S chart must be used. And if the subgroup size becomes 1, suppose your testing is destructive, very costlier, then it will lead to a chart called IMR, individual moving range chart, right? And R chart must be in control to interpret the X bar chart. Otherwise, don't even plot your X bar chart, right? And because control limits are calculated considering the range value. When the R chart is in control, you can be sure that out of control chart is due to the changes in the process center. Your process center is shifted either towards upper control limit or towards lower control limit. But when the R chart is not in control limit, the control limits on the X bar chart will go wrong, will become inaccurate, and will start giving false alarms. And then everybody will be wasting their energy. So center line for the average chart is X double bar and center line for the range chart is R bar. And the control limits are calculated like this in your average chart. It is X double bar plus A2 into R bar will give you upper control limit, and X double bar minus A2 into R bar will give you lower control limit. And in a range chart, your lower control limit will be D3 into R bar, upper control limit will be D4 into R bar. So this completes my session on control chart. Hope it was understood by all of you. If there are any questions, you can ask. But I also want you to see a video.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Yes, please.
Sir, you have shown a 10-step calculation before the diagram, na, sir? 8-step.
Yeah, I've shown you 8 steps of plotting a control chart.
Yes, sir. Can you please show again for the in a summarized manner? Or
Okay. See, that's not that difficult. I have only put it to make your learning simple.
okay.
Obviously, you will go through that because without collecting data, how will you plot the chart? Right? Let me show it anyway. You can take a screenshot. And anyway, I think Google Classroom, all of you are using it. And slides are also there in the Google Classroom. You can download. And these are the steps.
Okay.
Take a screenshot if required.
Okay.
Right. So be ready to shoot your questions, and I want to play a video. And before I allow you to ask the question, this video will talk about how control chart is used. Maybe the same potato chips industry. If the potato chips itself they are using, then all your components, the products, services you are offering should be more sensitive than a potato chip. Am I right? The products are definitely more sensitive than
Yes,
a
sir.
potato chip, and so please do not hesitate to use the control charts. Right? Let me play this for you.
Making potato chips is a carefully controlled process. Actually, it's several processes, all involving human labor and complex machinery. So how does Frito-Lay know when and where they have a problem? In the past, a company would inspect the product at the end of the process, but that's a little late to know if something's wrong. There are better ways. Sampling, as we saw in an earlier program, is one way to check on the process as it's happening. But as it turns out, it's only the beginning. Frito-Lay is one of the many American companies to add a new tool to their production line, Statistical Process Control, or SPC for short. It's a way for people directly involved in a process to know when to make changes and when not to. SPC is becoming universally accepted in American business, but it took a while to catch on.
I was a little fearful with the whole thing, not being totally familiar with statistics. It was something new to me, so there was a certain amount of reluctance on my part. But I soon became a believer once we started the process. Our variability from bag to bag diminished. We've probably made a 50% improvement in variability since we've instituted SPC in our operation.
Statistical process control is made at critical control points in the process where you can actually impact the quality of the product. And by setting up statistical control charts or Shewhart charts, you can obtain signals that tell you when the process needs attention and when the process is best left alone.
Let's look at the production of Ruffles to see how statistical process control works. Every 15 minutes, Karen Engels collects 3 batches of finished Ruffles for salt analysis. Salt content is a delicate balance for Frito-Lay. It has to be great enough to achieve the desired flavor, but small enough to satisfy consumer health concerns. To check on the salting process, each batch of chips is ground up, weighed, dissolved in distilled water, and filtered into a beaker. The electronic salt analyzer gives a precise readout of the percentage of salt. This sample's salt content is 1.9%, just slightly greater than the target amount of 1.6. Karen repeats the process with the other 2 batches. The information is then collected by Barbara Boudreau for further analysis. Barbara averages the salt content of the 3 batches and comes up with the sample mean. She plots the mean on this control chart, a special kind of graph which lets her know when the salting process is out of control.
Hope you are able to understand the message in the video. So all of you can come on the video. And yeah, madam, you can stop recording and re-record. Right. So tell me, what is that they are trying to control in the potato chips?
Salt level, sir.
Salt variation.
See, there are many processes, so many processes, but they understood that salting process is very critical for the success of the product. So that salting process is studied, given a special attention, monitored. If the size of the chip slightly varies, that doesn't matter. But the salt, if you add more or add less, that creates a lot of problem. So salting process has become critical, and so they started monitoring it. And now for the salting process, have you noticed the fellow who is collecting the taking the sample and measuring it? He followed a specific procedure. He took the sample, crushed it, and dissolved it in our water, and then it put in electronic salt analyzer. Is it necessarily every time they have to follow the same thing?
No, I think they can just do a sampling of few chips.
That's what they are doing. Every shift, every batch, they are taking sample. Every time they are crushing, every time they are dissolving, every time they are using the electronic salt analyzer, they are getting the reading. My question is, do they have to repeat the procedure same way again and again, or
Yes,
can
sir.
they change?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Again.
That procedure is called what?
Testing, analyzing.
Statistical.
Operational definition. That is called
Operational
operational definition.
definition. Okay.
If that is not there, suppose if I ask you to do it, you may measure it in some other way without dissolving the water. If you measure it, then you are not following a standardized procedure. So operational definition plays an important role. And now they are measuring the salt content. That salt content, can I call it CTQ?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes.
Critical to quality. If you are not able to identify the CTQ, it simply means you have not understood the problem. If you are failing to identify the correct CTQs, all the CTQs, see in chips I have shown only one CTQ. There could be many other CTQ. Thickness may also be a problem. Can I put a very thick chips? Will you eat?
Not friendly for chewing. So
yes, everything your customer values it, you must understand it. Whatever customer thinks it's important to them, critical to them, then you must consider it as a CTQ. You should find a way to measure it. If they can measure all these CTQs in a potato chips, can't you measure so many CTQs?
yes,
That is your defined phase. Identification of CTQs, identification of CTBs is nothing but project identification.
sir, there was also a given value like 1.6 salt content. What is it is a standard one?
No, 1.6. Some reading, the reading they have got. I don't know what is their salt content exactly. It's a video I downloaded. Same way in your product, some number will come. But for us, every problem is just a number. If all the numbers are close to each other, then we are safe.
Okay.
We are not problematic. Problem is with something else. If all the numbers are having variation, then if you are the process owner, now we are responsible, right? So that is what we are trying to monitor. So I think you have understood clearly the purpose of a control chart, particularly X bar R chart, and now you can use all the control chart. I will also teach you some point of time. I will also teach you how can you plot the control chart quickly using Minitab. See, there are many procedures you might find it painful. Like RK sir was teaching a lot of statistical formulas and other things. You may find it painful. Please note, there will be a painkiller which I will be giving to you, which RK will be giving to you. RK will give the painkiller in the form of Excel template. And I will train you on Minitab that means those templates and softwares will absorb the pain. You can enjoy generating beautiful reports for your project by familiarizing yourself with the Excel template and Minitab. So any specific question you want to ask me before we closing for the lunch?
Yes, sir. Just a simple clarification.
Yes.
So R chart will show us that the variation is in control, right, sir?
R chart shows the within batch variation.
The variation. Okay, sir. So
Yes.
the X star will show us the central tendency is situated at the target.
You are right. R bar shows variation and X bar chart monitors the central tendency. And in a manufacturing context, it is better to call between batch variation and within batch variation. Within batch variation is monitored in R chart. Between batch variation is monitored in X bar chart. You're right.
Now, I have another question. Which is more worst? Is it LCL or UCL?
Both are more worst.
Okay.
Both are at same distance from your center. 3 sigma above, 3 sigma below. You put more salt, your customer is going to laugh at you. You don't put salt, customer is again going to laugh at you. So try to be in the center.
Okay.
So both are sensitive, but sometimes what happens, your specification limit may be on one side only. Under such situation, your upper control limit may be more sensitive than lower control limit, but then also your control chart will always have two limits.
Okay.
Customer can check one side, but control limit will always check both sides. Right?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yep.
Any other question?
Sir, same principle apply in all kind of industry, means garments and car vehicle, means same principle.
Yes, everywhere quality
Yes.
is important, and so everywhere it is important. All kind of industries. See, in
Okay.
training also it is important. All of you are
Yes.
customer. If we don't maintain the same standards, people may not come for us, batch to batch, isn't it? If
Yes,
you
sir.
do, occasionally you do the program well, then occasionally only people will come. If your every program is good, then every program people will come, isn't it? So between variation, within variation, these are all definitely important in any business.
Okay.
Only thing is we must equip us properly with the depth of knowledge to apply it, slightly, customizing the tool for our requirement. It is in your hand. Definitely all the tools will be helpful throughout our life. All right, we'll go for the lunch and 1 hour lunch break. That means 2:15 we will continue.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.